revolution. It's a sudden, radical, and complete change. So, those are strong words when you really think about it, right? But it's appropriate because all of this for us, for me, my partner Troy, we started in the classroom. We started teaching kids that was 14 years old for summers, over 10 summers, financial literacy. And I realized that the best form of education provides hope, confidence, and optimism. But unfortunately, coming from working class, poor, middle class, whatever type of class environment a lot of us come from, we had a miseducation. And that miseducation leads to self-doubt, pessimistic thoughts, and fear. And these things are ingrained in us at a very, very young age, and it carries with us to the time that we die. So where does this start? Where does this miseducation start? It doesn't just start at school. School's only one part of it. Family, environment, culture, and school. So the first thing I want to talk about is family. This is something that a lot of times we don't even realize that we're dysfunctional. And not only, our relationships and the way that we deal with each other, but in our relationship with money and finances. So when you hear things growing up like stay out of grown folks' business, what does that mean? How are you supposed to learn business if you stay out of grown folks' business? You're supposed to educate kids. You're supposed to tell them this is how bills are paid. This is the responsibilities of a man. This is the responsibilities of a woman. These are things that should be encouraged. So when you hear things like, don't ask an adult how much money they make. Well, how are you supposed to know how to aspire to be something if you don't know how much money? It's like a guessing game, right? These are things that we never even really think about because it's just so ingrained in us, stay in a child's place. What is a child's place? What is a child's place? A child's place is to learn so that one day they could be a responsible, productive adult. But if a child is never educated, they're going to remain a child because the word child doesn't change with age. It changes with action. It changes with information. It changes with knowledge. So you could be a child at 35 years old. You could be a child at 45 years old. You could be a child at 55 years old. I know some children that's 14 that's more of an adult than a 40-year-old. Financial peer pressure is a very real thing that lasts from the time that we're born to the time that we die. In my high school, you was ridiculed if you didn't have the flyest sneakers, if you didn't have an Avirex coat, if you didn't have Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex at that time cost $220. The median income was probably $40,000. So I don't want to hear that we don't have money because everybody in my high school had $200 boots. So that means that their parents brought it for them. Their parents made it a priority for their kids to look good. So what does that do? That makes you make irresponsible financial decisions to keep up with your peers. This carries on to when we're adults. You know that you can't afford to go to Miami. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Now, if you can't go to Miami, you can't go to Mykonos. You can't go stop. Sometimes you got to put a reset button. I'm not doing nothing. I did this several times in my life where I looked at my back, I said, stop, not doing anything. Because what happens is that when you keep trying to keep up with the financial peer pressure, you're digging yourself into a hole that you will never get out of. Never. Never in life. You will be 45 years old, still struggling to pay off your credit card debt because you wanted instant gratification. This is something that's extremely, extremely important. So when we talk about environment, we also have to talk about living up to the expectations around us. Growing up, I thought $100,000 was a lot of money because that was the peak of what we saw. So it was like if you can get a sanitation job and work overtime, you can get up to $95,000, $100,000. That was like it for us. 2 miles down the road is one of the richest neighborhoods in the world, Scarsdale, New York. They thinking $100,000, you're a failure. It's the expectations of others around us. We live up to that. Sometimes in life you have to change your environment. If you don't change your environment, you're going to become a product of your environment. Unfortunately, this is just the reality. Because nobody wants to be doing the best in their circle. So what happens is subconsciously you make yourself do worse. Because if I'm a decent person, right, and I have some level of, morality and some level of consciousness, if I live in a neighborhood where every single person is struggling, I feel bad driving a Lamborghini through that neighborhood. Feels like I'm showing off. Feel like I punch them in their stomach every single time they're struggling. They don't have $5 in their account. Why would I want to do that? So what do? I self-sabotage myself. Without even knowing it. You self-sabotage yourself because you're more comfortable being average. You don't want to excel because your best friend is struggling. So you excelling is actually, you feel like you're showing off on them. Sometimes we have to change our environment. Sometimes we have to change the people around us. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's the only reality that we're faced with. Culture. What does that word mean? I don't even like using culture because what does culture mean? Everybody's culture. Culture means so many different things, and it's been appropriated so many different ways. And everybody has their take on culture. Some of our culture has helped. A lot of it has hurt. At some point, we have to take responsibility for the things that we're doing to ourselves. A lot of this music is detrimental. When you hear things like, fuck up some commas, or blow money fast, what does that mean? What does that mean? You blowing money fast because you don't have an appreciation for it. And you look at it like a voucher as opposed to looking at it as a seed. These are things that you're not really thinking about, but this is a subculture of going and throwing money in the air and making it rain. One of the most ignorant things that you can do when you realize that money that you're throwing in the air can grow 5 times, 10 times, 100 times. Why would you blow it? Why would you waste it? And why would you glorify it? So it's very important that we're conscious of our diet. Our diet is not just what we eat. Our diet is what we listen to and what we see. This is why listening to podcasts is very important. This is why listening to educational content is very important. And I'm not saying to be a monk. You got to be balanced. But just be mindful. Because if there's no balance, you're going to be unbalanced. And if you're unbalanced, your bank account's going to be unbalanced as well. It's only a matter of time. Now we have to go to school. We can't let the institutions off the hook. School, I can only speak from my own personal experience. School taught me everything except for what was important. I learned about Orion's belt. I learned about biology, chemistry. If you're a doctor, scientist, God bless you. The vast majority of us is never going to use that. Advanced calc. I was a financial advisor for 12 years. I never used trigonometry. Never used any level of advanced math ever. School is not only not helping us, a lot of times it's hurting us, especially for black males. When I was in school, I got diagnosed, it was an IEP. They said I had a learning disability. They said I wasn't really able to learn the way. It's not that I wasn't able to learn, I wasn't interested in what they was teaching me. Fortunately for me, I have a mother who was a teacher. So she fought on my behalf to never put me in a special class, to always make sure I was with regular students. Unfortunately, what if you didn't have that mother? A lot of people didn't. Now you labeled as special education. You know what that psychologically does to a child? It ruins the rest of their life. At 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, they're thinking that they're not able to learn on a high level. Obviously, I was intelligent. I just wasn't interested in what they was teaching me. So the school system at a young age, not only does it not teach you about money, it teaches you how to be a worker. It teaches you how to be subservient. It teaches you a bunch of things that are completely irrelevant. And if your parents can't teach you, how are you going to learn? You're not. That's done by design. Because when I look at wealth for over 4,000 years, it's been a pyramid. The pyramid analogy where at the top of the pyramid, a select few people have the information, and they don't share it with too many people. And then the bottom live on the masses. And then the masses actually hold up the top. But this is a unique moment in history. That old way of thinking is dead. Social media, the internet, has changed everything. This is the first time in the history of the world where information is readily available to everybody. No matter your race, your religion, how much money you make, anybody can go on YouTube, on Google, and empower themselves. They say the ancient library in Egypt was the most vast library in the history of the world until they burnt it down. They burnt it down on purpose. But when they burnt it, they said thousands of years of information was gone. In your cell phone right now, 10 times that amount of information is in your cell phone right now. This is the most powerful device ever created in the history of civilization. And most of us use it for all the wrong reasons. Everything that you need to succeed is in your pocket. But we still make excuses. We still blame other people for our shortcomings. The financial literacy movement is a snowball right now. It's a very niche area. If you're in it, you know about it. But it's a snowball that's quickly becoming an avalanche. And anybody that opposes it will fall victim to what avalanches do to people that stay in its way. It would be extremely wise if everybody championed financial literacy, if everybody got on the right side of it, because right now you have an important decision to make. You could be on the right side of history, or you could be on the wrong side of history. In this unique moment in time, it's important for all of us to be on the right side of history. Representation. Representation is extremely important. I titled this The Financial Revolution, and when I think about the word revolution, I think about rebels. I think about rebels, like rebels in a sense where, we speak for the have-nots. These are people that was looked over by the establishment, by people that went to Ivy League schools and looked down on the people that was working 9-to-5 jobs, the people that was struggling, but this is the majority of people. This is the people that empowered Earn Your Leisure, the people that's in prison, the people that's struggling, the janitors, the people that's driving a truck late night, and they finally had somebody that championed them. We didn't talk down to them, we talked directly to them, and we looked like them. It's a reason why I didn't wear no suit, that's on purpose. Because not that if you wear a suit, you can't be credible, but in my neighborhood, nobody had a suit on. So why would I get money and then change who I am? This is who I am. I might wear a suit if I feel like it, but I might wear a velour suit. I might wear Cartier frames. I might wear a presidential Rolex because that's just how I feel. And I understand that this is the way that people want to be talked to. They speak like me. When I was a financial advisor, I used to be very self-conscious about the way I spoke because I was on Park Avenue and everybody that was there was 80-year-old white men. And nobody spoke like me, and I was very self-conscious about it until I realized there's more people that speak like me that nobody's speaking to. So what I thought was crippling me was actually my superpower. Right now, we're in a unique moment in time. We're influencing financial markets. When you see a pundit that's on CNBC go and he says, Earn Your Leisure is influencing financial markets on Wall Street like nobody. They have more influence than anybody on the street. I didn't say he did. When you see articles about blacks buying stocks at all-time high, blacks buying cryptos at all-time high, this is because of the financial revolution that's taking place. And whether we get credit for it or not, it doesn't matter. The people know it. The people championed us anyway. The people elected us, not nobody else. So we can never be stripped of power unless the people strip us of power. So where do we get into the solutions? School's not going to solve problems. The government is not going to solve the problems. The only people that can solve the problems is us, ourselves. We're here to save ourselves. We're not asking for any handouts. We're not marching for nothing because we marched for 60 years and didn't get nothing. I say this all the time. My school, EYL University, taught me more than my state school. I went to a state school and got a degree. I would be in trouble if I was dependent on that degree right now. I'm not dependent on my degree. I'm dependent on the information and relationships. That freed me. That freed me, not my degree. So when we talk about this message of financial literacy, we're going to spread it all over the world. Our culture is contagious. This time is going to be contagious for a positive thing. We're going to liberate the minds from the bloodsuckers of the poor once and for all. Revolutionaries must never forget their mission. Integrity can't be purchased. No revolutionary was ever remembered for cars, jewelry, houses, boats. Never. So I say this to my fellow comrades in arms. If your integrity has been compromised, you're not a rebel. If you take advantage of people, you're not a revolutionary. You are an enemy of the state. And the people will hold you accountable. Be careful. Be careful with the trust that we have been given. Please be careful. You cannot kill a movement that does not have a leader. I never said Earn Your Leisure was a leader. Our goal is never to be top dog. Our goal is to empower thousands. That's the problem with too many movements. If you cut the head off, the body dies. But you can't cut the head off if there's 1,000 leaders, if there's 1,000,000 leaders. This is what we're doing. This is the financial revolution that we're talking about. This revolution, not only will it be televised, it will be monetized. They're going to pay us like they owe us, and that is a fact. This time around, we will be paid in full. Thank you for your time.